Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting mini webinar with Dr. John Taylor. I'm Charlene Green, and I have the honor of introducing him. John has been working in this field for over 40 years and empowering people to have more personal awareness and better relationships in all the areas of their life, especially if you're a parent. This is so great for you. And also for our children to grow up and just have more self-awareness. So I love what we're doing. And today he's got a great topic for you, which is friendship. And I think that is one of the most satisfying things in life to truly understand and develop, and something we really need to help our children have better awareness of. So John's going to help with that today. And we have so many resources at the Parentology website. So if you are looking for more resources, books, pamphlets, more of our webinars, that's where you're going to want to go visit after this today. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it right over to Dr. John Taylor, who also happens to be my father. So of course, I'm a big fan. So Dr. Taylor, take it away.
Thank you so much, Charlene. Glad to have you here. I'm so glad you can be with us today. When kids with ADHD are interviewed and asked what is the number one thing that is wrong with their life, what's the number one complaint they have about their lives, their number one answer given to social workers, psychologists, mental health professionals of all kinds is, I don't have enough friends. So friendship is a very, very heart of the matter issue with kids who are in serious trouble in terms of their self-control and their social adjustment. And so today I'd like to give you some suggestions on how you can max out your child's ability to have wholesome, wonderful friendships that strike to the core of his or her sense of well-being and being valuable and loved. Our first concept under friendship is to discuss it at a family meeting. We can have our first slide. The way to get friendship going is to take a look at it at a family meeting and discuss with your kids, actually teach them the concepts that I will share with you today. I hope you have a pen and paper ready, and these are fun concepts and they're so important. They are crucial for children to develop socially. Research on kindergarten kids, looking at them 16 years later when they become 21 years old, finding them wherever they are, indicates that the number one correlated factor from age 5 to determine how well adjusted they turned out to be as adults is how well they got along with other 5-year-olds. So again, we find friendship skills at the heart of the matter of actually how people turn out. So take a look at the network of friends your child has. Are those high quality friends? Are they uplifting? Are they morally uplifting and not leading into temptation? Are they fun to be with? Does your child enjoy those friendships? Can your child tell me, if I were to interview your child, fun things he or she does with friends? And are those friends trustable? Research on asking children, well, how do you know whether someone is your friend? The number one thing they list is the person is trustable and has integrity. So how are those friends? The best way to expand your child's friendship and incorporate higher quality friends is to introduce the child one at a time to the new friend in a safe environment. So have your child have guests over to your home in a sort of supervised way, one-on-one learning about a new friend, cooking safely and appropriately something in the kitchen, playing games and so forth. But just going to a party and meeting 8 new friends and not doing anything one-on-one with them is not a way to build a good friendship network. On our next slide, we have another principle. Teach your children that when they're playing with other kids, it's always better to bow to the other person when starting the game. Let the other child go first. So if we're going to play Parcheesi and I am your child and my buddy is going to play Parcheesi with me, I'm going to say to my buddy, you go ahead and go first. And which color would you like? And so the friend gets to choose the color first and gets to go first. That simple little act of sort of stepping aside and not getting away from the me first kind of attitude will soften the hearts of friends, and they'll feel very good in the presence of your child. Eventually, what you hope for is that they want to reciprocate and offer your child to go first. If so, your child should go ahead and accept that invitation, not argue and debate over who's going to go first. But train your child to, part of putting the red carpet out for someone is to honor them in terms of having them go first when they're playing a game. Now, another thing that kids stumble on when they're with friends is they silently play the game. So here we are playing Parcheesi and no one talks. We're just rolling dice and moving markers. Well, that's not going to build a friendship. What builds a friendship is the talking that we do while we're playing the Parcheesi. So we talk about our favorite movies and what we saw on television, our favorite sports, what's happening at school, some friends we know, our interests and hobbies and so forth. So go ahead and talk to your friend. Now that has certain kind of limitations. It doesn't mean bawl out your friend, yell and scream at your friend, criticize your friend, and endlessly chatter, but have meaningful talk that is enjoyable about pleasant topics. Be willing to open your mouth and say things. Give your children some guides as to what would be appropriate to say. In fact, one of our teaching points, I believe, is this next one here. Let your friend choose the topic to talk about. And as I mentioned, let the friend choose, and part of going first is choosing what game to play even. So we have our friends' topics. Does your friend like geography? Then be really smart and ask your friend to tell you something interesting about geography. If your friend likes baseball, be really smart and ask your friend what his favorite team is and so forth. So while you talk to your friend, it isn't just me. It's very friend, other interested, other centered kind of talk. If we can go back to that other slide with those games on it, the idea of letting a friend go first includes what would you like to play? We have dominoes, we have Chinese checkers, we have chess, we have Parcheesi. What would you like to play? So again, this is the idea of going first includes the child gets to choose something here. Choose which game to play. Or if not which game to play, which colored markers he wants if we're going to play Parcheesi. Let the friend choose first which color. The friend wants to take the red ones, then your child, then would take the blue ones and so forth. So this whole idea of letting your friend choose and letting your friend go first is sort of intertwined. And the idea of talking to them is, again, as I said, very friend-oriented talk, not egocentric or just about me. These concepts are easy to talk about and important for your children to grasp. Now, you and I know them as adults, but sometimes this just helps to point blank instruct them in the kids, have them come up with their creative ways of what they could say. Another concept is the idea of don't hog the ball. When it's your turn, take your turn and then turn the game over to the next step. Here we have two kids playing checkers, but they avoid that problem of checkers of being too boring and taking too long. Sort of the same thing you run into if you try to play Scrabble with somebody. And so they have a little timer there. The illustration is of an alarm clock, a really awkward way to do that. But the idea of take your turn when it's time and then back off and let the friend take her turn. So don't hog the ball kind of concept, even though there's no ball here. So don't hog all the time, reciprocate a lot. Now, empathy is a complicated topic. And I've presented a similar class on it, a similar mini webinar like this one on empathy. You can learn all about the 6 components of it and so forth. And you can train your children to use those same components as they're talking to their playmates. And so the way I would explain it to a child could be show that you care about whatever your friend's feelings are. This girl here is sad. Now, if you're a good friend, you don't go hardy har har with her. You find out what it is. And part of your talk is, oh, you seem to be worried right now. What are you worried about? That's you talking, but you're also going to be empathic to those feelings. So go ahead and train your children in the principles of empathy, as I taught in the other segment you can pick up from my website, another one of these mini webinars. But the idea is, if if your friend is happy, then you show how happy you are that your friend is happy. And if your friend is sad, you show how sad you are that your friend is sad. Show you're caring in an empathic way. Empathy builds bonds. It is a love bonding energy. So people always feel safer and a tighter emotional connection with a friend who is in fact empathic with their emotions. Now we come to another concept here about when you're playing with somebody, don't be their boss. Let them control their moves. The little girl here is not going to tell the boy which stick to pick up if they're doing pickup sticks. He chooses which one. If we're going to play soldiers with a little 3-inch tall plastic soldiers, I don't tell you where to put your tanks and your cannons and your soldiers. You decide where you hide your soldiers around the furniture, and I decide where I hide my soldiers, and so forth. So the idea of it's sort of a spin-off of taking turns, that you control your half, they control their half, to avoid bossiness. Bossiness can wreck friendships, and you certainly don't want your child to be bossy. If anything, you want your child to be accommodating, gentle, kind, and empathic. See what our next slide teaches us here. The idea of going beyond words to the whole concept of being a host to somebody. Offer them a comfortable chair to sit in, or place to sit on the floor if you're going to place something on the floor. Offer them food that's appropriate to offer. This idea I mentioned about cooking something together, fun in the kitchen, that is actually a great place to build friendships. If appropriately, as I said, appropriately supervised, and they're cooking something that's reasonable, very simple to mix. You pour water in something and stir it, and then put it in the oven or something, that the child can do safely and appropriately. Or if there's a treat that you already have, you have some popcorn, you have candy bar, go ahead and share it. The idea of sharing with your friend. So food is a universal symbol of hospitality. Why not incorporate it into friendship acts with your child? Have your child discuss and think out loud with you what could be a food component of having a friend over at your home. In fact, part of the idea is that you cook on purpose with a friend as part of the activity. Now, there's another aspect of being friends, and that is the cleanliness in your language and the politeness of your language. Avoiding offensive language and being always saying the magic words, and teach them as magic words if you want. Depends on how old your child is, of course, if you talk about magic words. But the idea of please and thank you, and the willingness to say you're sorry, willingness to excuse me when it's said at appropriate times. So part of this is just out and out manners and etiquettes and so forth, but cushioning what we say with the lubrication of those magic kind of words that are so polite adds a nice dimension, and again makes people feel more safe around you. Actually, emotional safety is the big deal in friendships. So if your child is showing empathy, using courteous words, focusing on the friend's topics, letting your friend go first, that's going to build a lot of bonding with the friend. So your child's going to have a good success here at gaining new friends using that. Let's see what our next slide says to us. Our next slide says, your child is going to be popular. Your child is going to want other kids and he's going to have other kids coming to him and wanting to play with him. And your daughter is going to have other kids wanting to play with your daughter if she will observe these principles that I've just taught you. Go ahead and teach them to your kids. On our website, we have numerous resources that can assist here. One of my audio CDs, which I talk directly to you personally, is on, it's called Improving Social Skills and covers friendship skills. The most popular book that I've written of my 24 books, this one, The Survival Guide for Kids with ADHD, is a whole section on making more friends. Obviously, that is the #1 complaint they make. So I put a section in here. It covers many of the things we just talked about here. And then we have many books that actually target social skill development. Here's one, it's called Social Success Workbook for Teens and so forth. So basically, I've already done your shopping for you with a lot of these resources. So I'll only put the highest quality resources on my website for you to have access to. So hopefully that my website will be helpful for you, and that this little class today has been helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and will join us again for another one of our sessions today. Well, whenever you want to. Thank you very much for coming.